Hi guys, as always, I'm Al, this is the Geek in Review, and I'm going to be talking about Invincible Season 2, Episode 2, so if you haven't seen it, this will contain spoilers. Now, it's been a big week for the superhero genre, with Invincible 2, the last episode of Loki Season 2, and the Marvels all pretty much dropping at the same time. So the question is, I suppose, who do you think is going to come out on top? And of course, it's a personal choice, but also it does seem that the Marvels is in third place, but don't worry about it. Because not the Marvels by the reviews I've seen so far at least, and if you don't want to miss my Marvels review, make sure that you subscribe to the channel as well. So, Invincible Season 2, Episode 2, let's get to it. Mark's off to uni, but he needs to graduate first, and of course he's not at the ceremony because he's doing the whole superhero thing. Taking on Doc Seismic again, and this villain showed up at the start of Season 1, and this time he's trying to destroy the National Monument. Last time it was Mount Rushmore, and he's a real eco-warrior type.
Granite stolen from the earth, iron ripped from her loins.
This is all wrong.
And he's got his own villain team this time made of lava, and it was pretty cool seeing these monsters. I liked it a lot. But Mark can beat the monsters, but he can't reach Seismic because he keeps repelling them with his shockwaves. So Mark has to fly through the centre of the monument and knock Seismic out, and I absolutely love this. There's so many great scenes in this episode and in the show overall that are like panels leaping off a comic book page, and yeah, this just looked absolutely brilliant and was a lot better than the whole National Monument thing they'd done in Spider-Man.
How dare you?
After this, William, Amber and Mark hang out at Eve's treehouse, which, you know, is not a kid's treehouse, it's actually pretty swish. And as they're finishing school, they're all planning their summers. William wants to relax, Eve wants to help rebuild Chicago, which, you know, thinking about it, she could do pretty quickly, and I mean, the episode does address this later on, but I'll get to that. Amber wants to get into local politics, which is as interesting as it sounds, and Mark is kind of on edge. He doesn't really have any set plans because, as he explains, he's always got to be on call waiting for Cecil to call him into action, and he really feels the guilt over what his dad did at the end of Season 1, which is why I think this guy's not able to switch off. And speaking of Season 1, do you remember the Mars episode? Well, that comes back into this as well. If you haven't seen it, Mark was sent to keep an eye on some astronauts on Mars. They found the Martians, plus a race of alien parasites called the Sequids, who, if they made it down to Earth, you know, end of all life, all that stuff. And this episode catches us up with one of the astronauts who is actually replaced by a Martian. He's called Russ Livingston, and he's struggling to fit in back on Earth.
I don't know how else to say this.
Please don't kill me.
Speaking of struggling, Mark and Debbie are trying to move on, but you can tell that Debbie isn't really present. And this show is giving Debbie a lot more time in development than she got in the comics, and I'm glad. It gives her a really good arc here, and you can kind of tell where this is going to go throughout the rest of the season, and it's probably not going to be great. She assures her son that he won't turn out like his dad before Nolan summons him, because the new Guardians are struggling despite the Immortals' leadership. His management style isn't working, let's put it that way. Plus, him and Duplicate are now a thing, pissing off Rexplode. Russ, aka our favourite Martian, is getting to grips with, well, Russ's life, watching the news about the dead Guardians, specifically Martian Man, because, you know, they're Martians. Cecil's mission is to send Mark to Midnight City, which has been cursed by an evil magician. And why didn't we see that in the show? I mean, that would have been something I wanted to see. But anyway, Cecil has worked out that Darkwing, one of the Guardians of the Globe that was killed by Omniman, might still be out there and be at large. But Mark finds out once he arrives that it's not him, it's his assistant Nightboy who's taken over the mantle. Yeah, like Batman, I get it. I'm not explaining that one for you. I mean, you get it, right? Right? Subscribe.
That wasn't exactly the answer I was looking for.
Cecil decides that Nightboy needs to go because this is another superhero that's gone over the edge in this world, and obviously with what happened with Omniman, he doesn't want any rogues out there. But Mark's takedown isn't that easy, as this guy has built a suit designed to fight superheroes, trapping Mark in a sort of pocket dimension, and this is kind of similar to the Black Samson suit that was mentioned in the comics that wasn't really carried over into the show, and I am going to be posting reviews of the comics soon, so make sure you're subscribed as well so you don't miss it. He does manage to beat him, and while this is all going on, Cecil meets Debbie, unhappy about how often Mark's been used for missions. And it's not just the Graysons that are having family issues, Eve is having them herself. Our dad has lost his job because of the events of Chicago, and he blames superheroes straining the relationship with, his superhero daughter. Mark's trying to improve his relationship too with Amber, taking her to Vegas before Cecil calls him up again, of course, and you can tell that the obligation is really going to start to get in the way of his life pretty soon throughout the rest of the season.
What's wrong with you?
And Cecil's mission this time is a little bit different for Mark. The Atlanteans are unhappy about Nolan taking out their own guy and want justice, meaning Mark needs to marry their queen. It's some sort of weird fish tradition, don't even worry about it.
According to Atlantean custom, the only way to atone for the king's murder is to marry his widow.
So Mark is taken below the sea to meet the queen, saying that he hasn't been chosen to walk down the aisle. Instead, he's got to go through a trial of combat. So cue a huge Lovecraftian style monster. Cecil helps Mark escape and in the process release the monster, which starts attacking the city. As he flees, Mark decides to prove that he's not his dad and go back and save the people that tried to kill him. And of course, being invincible, he saves the day. And he might need to again soon, because Cecil has other things to deal with a supervillain team called the Lizard League, who are up to no good, and it's time for the new Guardians to be tested as well, and they also get another new member.
Call me the Shapesmith.
We meet a guy called Shapesmith who shows up as Rexplode before revealing himself as Russ, who's really a Martian. Do you follow? Anyway. Eve's still trying to reconnect with her dad, but her good work in Chicago rebuilding the city has caused some unexpected deaths, making him even more anti-superhero. I can't say anti-sup because that's a boys thing, but it's a very hard thing not to do, so, if you appreciate that, hit like. Shapesmith, aka Russ, aka the Martian, is getting the grand tour, but Rudy / the robot doesn't trust him, nor should he. It's a guy pretending to be a guy who's an alien that can be anyone when you think about it. The Lizard League are still up to evil plans, seemingly swelling their ranks with leadership issues of their own, exactly like what's happening with the Guardians of the Globe. And the episode ends in another dimension with Angstrom Levy, who's going to be the big bad for this season, has Mark, or at least another version of Mark that's been captured, and he's learning how he can beat him. So he's still really pissed off that the prime Mark Grayson caused these injuries and turned him into this sort of monster, I suppose. But it's kind of also exactly what he wanted. And you can tell that this guy is going to start recruiting Marks or Omniman or someone like that eventually to take him on, and I really can't wait for that. As I said, I'm reviewing the comics starting soon, and I'm already about halfway through them, and the multiverse stuff that they do there is great, and this show, like The Boys, is so much better than its original source material that I can't wait to see how they're going to expand on that. I don't want to ruin anything for you, but it's going to be crazy. And another solid episode. As I said at the start, it's crammed with superheroes and a lot of setup and character stuff with Mark and Eve, and I loved it. The show's got a great pace and doesn't let you know where it's going and isn't pushing things like where's Omniman? Which is a question that not a lot of people have asked yet, and when you get the answer, yeah, it's going to be Jerry Springer, put it that way. As you can tell, I really enjoy the show and I love this episode, and as always, I want to know what you guys think about episode 2. And if you've not read the comics, my review videos of them are starting this week, so make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss it. And as always, my name's Al, thanks for watching.
Fuck you!